welcome to the color page. Here we are in DaVinci Course Studio, and as I mentioned at the start of this course, this page is very important. It's going to be a very useful tool for your videos if you understand it properly. And my mission is that you guys, after these 5 hours of this episode, you can do your own color grading. You can make your clips look better. So let me introduce you a bit this interface. At first sight, I would like you to differ between 3 spaces or 3 sections. So the first section has 3 windows, as we can see here. Okay. 1, 2, and 3. That's gonna be our first section on top of the other sections. First, we have here this sort of empty box that says no still created. Okay, that means that we don't have any stills created. Now, stills of our images, okay, of our videos. Here, this page gives you the option to just go to the frame that you want and create a still of that clip of that frame. Why do I want to create stills? Why would I do that? Well, basically because sometimes when you are grading, lots of times, you need to keep a certain continuity in terms of light and color. Therefore, you are gonna create stills of videos of clips that you want to use as reference or comparison. And that's why we need here this section, so we can see all of our stills, the stills we create in our gallery. If you remember when we went through our project settings, okay, let's go now here. Remember the year and project settings. If we go to working folders, we can see here gallery stills locations. So these still images are gonna be saved in here, the location we have for gallery stills location in our computer. That's why we need this. Okay, so we can storage our still images. Here, obviously, we have our viewer, as you can see, and this viewer is pretty much all these elements are obviously the same as the viewer we had in edit and in media, but there's some elements that are gonna change, and we're gonna see how. Okay, for example, there's one that you can divide your image here, so you can see your still image, the one you created, and the clip you're working now. So that make it easier if you wanna match these clips, if you wanna respect this continuity. So here on the right we have where we're gonna just put our nodes. Remember again, nodes from Fusion. These ones are pretty much the same concept. We're gonna see all types of them because there's these parallel nodes, you know, they're a bit different, but the basic is the same. Like in here, for example, everything, all the modifications, I'm gonna apply it to as many nodes as I want, and these nodes have relationship, they connect each other, and we're gonna see that depends on the order. This time it affects to the image. So here, these 3 elements, okay, the nodes also are gonna be, obviously, are gonna express adjustments, modifications of our image. Okay, so for example, we can create one node and we can name it contrast. Only has to deal with contrast, and as long as we are creating these nodes, also we can block them. For example, if we just want to see one, we can only see one, the same as in Fusion. But here and also here, sorry, there's also this media in, media out. There's these relationships too. So now in the center, obviously, as we mentioned before a bit, here is our representation of our timeline. But as you can see, we have all these sort of still image, all of these sort of freeze frames that represents one clip, okay, of our timeline. So for example, this one is going to be the clock. If I now press, now that I have selected, obviously with right clicking to them, now that I have selected this, now if I press space, obviously it's gonna be this clip. But at the end of this clip, what is gonna do? It's gonna keep with our timeline. Gonna keep reproducing our timeline. Okay, so this is like watching your timeline. It's just you cannot do modifications. Also, you can hear the sound. If you don't want to hear the sound though, you just mute it. But obviously in this page you are not going to be able to cut, to edit your sound. Here you're only going to deal with color grading. But here is this representation, okay, of your timeline. Each clip represented by its image, an image. But then we can see also here behind these squares, as I mentioned before, and the overlay too. So this is pretty good, because in case you want to make a modification, I want to make a modification not of my image of the clock, but the image of this street, of this highway. If I just press this one, it selects me also the right one. If I select this one, it's gonna select me the one of the clock. So as you can see, if I want to do a color modification of this one, I know now that I'm gonna do it of the highway. If you want this to loop, we just press this one, okay, because I mentioned that if you just don't press space anymore, it continues with our timeline. But if we would like to, just because we are doing something very accurate with our color, we would like to just do a loop, we just press loop here, and it's gonna only loop this clip, okay? In that case, are two clips inside this, but it's like if there's one, we're gonna have to do modifications individually. Then what do we have here behind? Obviously the most important thing of this interface, where we are gonna do our modifications. This is the tools. These are our tools. All of these things, all of these little circles, okay, you can touch. All of these zeros is things that, as you see when we hover, we have this sort of arrow. If you press it and drag it, you can go higher or lower. You can put more of this element or not. And again, we see these things that we are familiar with already. Okay, these circles, which means reset. So here, if I touch a lot of these things, any of these little circles, you can just take it and just grab it. And then I can reset all. Okay, so here is the first thing you learn of this tool, is these circles, okay? And this is the first thing we're gonna see, which are our primary colors, okay? To understand what is a primary color.